Here we have a SAT math problem. Okay, let's go to the question. A fruit orchard has 8 rows of apple trees and 4 rows of orange trees. Each row of apple trees has 15 trees that are healthy and 6 trees that are unhealthy. Each row of orange trees has 10 trees that are healthy and 2 trees that are unhealthy. The probability of selecting an apple tree given that the tree is unhealthy is equal to W. The probability of selecting an unhealthy tree given that the tree is orange tree is equal to Z. Note that W and Z are positive constants. What is the positive difference between W and Z? Round your answer to the nearest hundredth. Okay, now let me draw a tabular column and write the required stuff. Here we have the tabular column. Now let me fill this tabular column with the information what we have. Okay, the question says that there are 8 rows of apple trees. In each row, there are 15 healthy trees and 6 unhealthy trees. Okay, now to get the number of healthy apple trees, we have to multiply the number of healthy trees in each row by the number of rows. 15 times 8 is 120. There are 120 healthy apple trees. Okay, now to find the number of unhealthy apple trees, we have to multiply the number of unhealthy trees in each row by the number of rows. 6 times 8 is 48. There are 48 unhealthy apple trees. Okay, now to get the total number of apple trees, we have to add this 120 and 48. Then I'm getting 168. That is, there are 168 apple trees in all. Okay, now let's consider the other information. There are 4 rows of orange trees and each row has 10 healthy trees and 2 unhealthy trees. Now to get the number of healthy orange trees, we have to multiply the number of healthy trees in each row by the number of rows. 10 times 4 is 40. There are 40 healthy orange trees. Now to get the number of unhealthy orange trees, we have to multiply the number of unhealthy trees in each row by the number of rows. That is 2 times 4 is 8. Okay, now let's get the total number of orange trees. That is 40 positive 8. That is equal to 48. And also let me get the column total. 120 positive 40 is 160. That is, there are 160 healthy trees in all. And let me add this 48 and 8. I am getting 56. That is, there are 56 unhealthy trees in total. Now to get the total number of all trees, we have to add either these two values or these two values. In both the cases, we'll be getting the same result. When I add 160 and 56, I am getting 216. Even when I add this 168 and 48, I am getting the same total. So there are 216 trees in total. Okay, now let me consider this piece of information. There is a probability of selecting an apple tree given that the tree is unhealthy is equal to W. Here a probability is explained. The probability is equal to W. Okay, let me write W over here. And let's consider this piece of information. Given that the tree is unhealthy, so this gives a sample space. Now in the table, we have to consider the total number of unhealthy trees. So that is 56. Since it's a sample space, it should be written in denominator. Okay, here we have the probability for selecting an apple tree. Since we have the probability of selecting an apple tree, now we have to consider the number of apple trees in these 56 unhealthy trees. Okay, in the 56 unhealthy trees, the number of apple trees are 48. So this 48 should be written in numerator. So this is the probability given over here. That is the probability of selecting an apple tree given that the tree is unhealthy. Okay, now let's consider the other information. The probability of selecting an unhealthy tree given that the tree is an orange tree is equal to Z. Okay, let me write Z over here. And now consider this information. Given that the tree is orange tree, this is a sample space. Now from the table, we have to get the total number of orange trees. That is 48. Okay, now let me write 48 in denominator because this is a sample space. Now let's consider the probability we have over here. The probability of selecting an unhealthy tree. Okay, since we have the probability of selecting an unhealthy tree, in these 48 orange trees, we have to consider the number of unhealthy trees. Okay, in these 48 orange trees, the number of unhealthy trees are 8. So this 8 should be written in numerator. So this is the probability we have for the probability of selecting an unhealthy tree given that the tree is an orange tree. So that is equal to Z. Okay, here I got the values of W and Z. According to the information, both of them are positive constants. Our aim is to find the positive difference between W and Z. Okay, now to get the difference between W and Z, let's do subtraction between them. That is W negative Z equals to 48 over 56 negative 8 over 48. Okay, here I got the difference between W and Z, but the question says it's a positive difference. That is, this value has to be positive. So to make sure this value is positive, let me take absolute value for this one. Okay, now we have to evaluate the value of this one, and I have to round my answer to the nearest hundredth. Okay, now what we can do is we can go to Desmos graphing calculator and evaluate the value of this expression. Okay, now let's go to Desmos. Here we have Desmos graphing calculator. Now we can evaluate the value of this expression. Let me give this expression as input over here. That is absolute value for 48 divided by 56, negative 8 divided by 48. Okay, when I evaluate the value of this expression, I am getting 0.6904 and it keeps going. Our aim is to get the value rounded to the nearest hundredth. When I round this value to the nearest hundredth, I am getting 0.69. Therefore, the positive difference between W and Z is about 0.69.